Resident Evil 4 came out on the 25th of October 2005, and it took the gaming world by storm. After the success of that of Resident Evil 3 and the disaster that was Raccoon City, this was the follow-on from the police officer Leon Kennedy's story. Back in 2005, with the really clunky mechanics on the GameCube, it was loved by everyone who played it. The characters were very likeable, it made you nervous and on edge when travelling through the map and the village, dark corridors and basements with only your flashlight leading the way. Fast forwarding almost 2 decades later, and here we are. Capcom have decided to completely remake Resident Evil 4 from the ground up. Not just remaster it, but remake it for this new generation of consoles and also PC. Very similar to the treatment that, of course, Dead Space had and The Last of Us Part 1 had. It is worrying when a company decides to remake or even remaster a series just because it can be done for the wrong reasons. As a couple of examples, Halo Combat Evolved was remastered back in 2011, I believe, and it just wasn't very good at all, massively changing the design of the overall game, and it changed the overall feel of that game as well, not staying faithful to that of the original, and it just didn't feel like the original at all. Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered, the multiplayer was turned into a microtransaction and supply drop haven, taking away from what we loved of the original game and turning it to a luck-based game, with weapons that you unlock in supply drops or through hundreds of hours of gameplay, which just didn't seem fair. However, with the release of the masterpiece that was Dead Space's remake, it gave me hope for Resident Evil 4's remake. A remake that would remain faithful to the design of the original, improve on what wasn't as good back in the day, and even change the way the game plays and even the story slightly if it was deemed as an improvement. Look, I never played the original Resident Evil 4, so I can't really compare as to what it was like back then as to what the remake is right now, but if you guys have played them both, let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear your opinions on what's changed, what's been improved, and what hasn't been improved. But today, as we do with all of the new games that come out after we go through their story, is I want to do a review of this Resident Evil 4's remake, how I found it going through as a first time player compared to what you guys might have thought if you've played the originals. Talk about the game in just more detail in general. Is it worth the money paying for it? Is it a faithful remake of the original? And because we're a lore and story channel predominantly, how was the storyline? Check the timestamps down below in the description, everyone, to skip to any part of the review that you would like to. Leave a like on today's video if you're going to enjoy it, it'd be very much appreciated. Also, why not consider subscribing? It's completely free and it's down below there, just below the like button. But without further ado, everyone, let's dive straight in. So to begin with, let's start by discussing the game itself. Remaking a game that was so memorable in people's lives is a really difficult task to nail, because one, you've got to appease to people's memories, nostalgia, and also respect that original vision, not straying too far away from it, but also trying to improve it and innovate it in a way. As we mentioned already, Halo Combat Evolved's anniversary game royally fucked up the art style, resulting in many to just dislike it in general, me included. Did it play better? Probably. Did it look better in terms of skybox and atmosphere? Absolutely. But was it Halo CE? No. It was almost like Halo CE had a Minecraft texture pack on. That was what it was like. Nothing like the original, and it wasn't faithful to the original's vision. Dead Space for me is a perfect example of a remake, and also The Last of Us Part 1. The developers went into remaking the game with the goal of not disrupting the developer's original vision of the game, and creating something that hits the nostalgia nerve perfectly, but also one that gives you something else to experience, something new that you've not experienced in the original, and that's exactly what a remake should do. A remaster, yes, it should be the exact same, just upgraded and updated, but a remake gives the developers the opportunity to be able to change things here and there, make things better, improve things that there was feedback given back in the day, and they've improved upon it this time to improve on that thing, or to change it, or to alter the story in a way to make it make more sense, you know? Dead Space was the perfect example of what a remake should be though, and one that's a well and truly respectable reimagination of a masterpiece that was Dead Space back in 2008. The feedback of this game was so high that EA have even sent out details around surveys asking if we'd welcome a Dead Space 2 and a Dead Space 3 remake. Yes, of course. So with Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 being remade, obviously it was only fair for Resident Evil 4 to go through the same treatment, and they didn't disappoint in the slightest. Look, I've already said this, I've never got the opportunity to play the original, or the remaster of the original for that fact, on the PlayStation 4. So I went into this with a very open mind, not knowing what to expect from the story, the characters, or anything like that. However, with the user scores of this game being literally off the scales, I can only suspect that it went down very well with the community and the reviewers, most of which probably played and experienced the original on the GameCube and even the remaster on the PlayStation 4. But how does the game feel? Has the remake improved on that of the remaster and the original back on the GameCube? Well, of course it has, right? It's running at a solid 60 frames per second in 4K on the PlayStation. The graphics are absolutely fantastic. The character models have all been updated. The world, the skybox has all been updated. It looks absolutely fantastic. Even the option to change to the graphical mode on PlayStation for me didn't impact FPS, which I found really strange to begin with, but it was so good. And it was gorgeous the entire way through. I thought Leon's character looked fantastic. Ashley also looked great. Ada looked like she had a fantastic personality.
What?
The gunplay was typical Resident Evil, right? Not hand-holding with aim assist, making it difficult for you to shoot these enemies as well, and for them to be fairly bullet spongy at times, giving you the option to melee enemies when they're close to death, quick time events that were actually good. Like, I never thought I'd ever see the day where a quick time event was actually fun, and it actually meant something. Like, in this, you can avoid the quick time events. You're not locked into a quick time event animation. It's more reaction based, and I don't mind doing them. But man, those goddamn fucking bear traps throughout the entirety of the first 2 hours of gameplay almost sent me goddamn insane. Leon, I'm sorry, mate, but I just can't seem to see these fucking bear traps. Oh my god, I am losing my mind with these bear traps. I loved the collectibles throughout the campaign too, the different treasures you find along the way through the drops, finding keys to open up and unlock these secret drawers and cupboards throughout, finding keys later on in the mission, and then going back to the cupboards and drawers that you found previously, and then opening them with this key you've got. You can even sell the keys to the merchant, you can keep them all and hoard them to go around the map and find the different things. It's honestly a really good replay factor to have this ability to travel wherever you want to around the map, put the key in. It doesn't work, okay, let's go find another one. I really enjoyed it. And then, of course, gathering all of this loot, treasure, and selling it to the main man himself, the merchant, allowing you to get more currency to unlock new gear, blueprints, weapons, buy ammo, buy heals, buy materials to craft, and much more. Sometimes in these types of games, if the story isn't very good, it can be massively carried by the gameplay. And you can even flip this too. If the gameplay isn't great, it can get a pass for a great story. However, Resident Evil 4, albeit its pretty ridiculous story and Leon being extremely over the top at times, but I loved it. Like Leon doing a backflip to avoid 2 chainsaws when he could have literally just ducked under both of them. It's hilariously over the top, and these are the things that make these games so memorable. Overall, without rambling on too much in this section, gameplay was smooth, the mechanics were easy to use and to get used to, the ability to find ammo anywhere around the map, and when you have none, you can just craft it yourself if you've got the materials. The same with heals too, you can craft anything. And the great thing is you can craft it on the go. You don't have to visit the merchant, you don't have to go to a crafting bench. You can just open the menu and craft whatever it is that you need at that given time, if you've got the materials of course. And if you've not, you can buy them from the merchant or find them around the map. I think Capcom have done a great job at refining what was already working well with the original and tweaking things in place to make them feel that little bit better than the original when it launched. As I mentioned, I haven't played the original, so if you did, let me know your thoughts and opinions down below on if you've noticed any positive or negative changes in the gameplay. I'd be very interested to see what your thoughts are. Now, onto the main part of the video, the storyline. I did a story explain video the other day, so go check it out if you haven't already. Goes through the story in its entirety and walks through the game. For those that don't want to buy the game, you can just watch it, but still experience the same story and experience the game as we all have. So yeah, go check it out, links on the screen and below. But from reading some of my comments and going through some of the Twitter comments around the game, Characters and their development have slightly been changed by Capcom in this new remake. What information they give you, and they don't try to overcomplicate things by giving you loads of previous lore for Resident Evil 3 if you've not played it. They kind of summarise everything in this game and give you the context that you need for this game there and then in cutscenes at the start of the game and also throughout dialogue in-game. Every comment I've seen is pretty positive, however there are one or two that believe that some characters were stronger in the original and the remaster, and the changes to them in the remake lacked a bit of depth and just made them not that likeable. Look, if the characters in the remake weren't likeable, then I would love to know what they were like in the original, because for me, I liked every character in the remake. I can't categorically tell you what changed or what characters were drastically changed because I didn't play the original, but comparing again to the likes of Dead Space, the original had a silent protagonist, which was Isaac, but then the remake had Isaac speak and interact with the different characters like Kendra and Hammond as well. So I suppose it just depends on what you like. Some people might not like the fact that Isaac speaks in the new one, some people might like the silent protagonist, but it's all down to personal preference at the end of the day. And for me, I thought that the character development and I thought the characters in the Resident Evil 4 were all really good. All of the motivations were very clear. They were all explained to you throughout the gameplay. There was no character that you looked at and thought, why are they here? I don't really understand or don't really get why they're a part of the story. Everyone had their reasons, and that's why it worked so well. I liked Luis Sierra. I liked Ada. Leon was an absolute ladies' man and a legend. And Ashley. You think with her constantly running off, being captured, she'd come across as some dumb rich daddy's girl, right? But no, she was intelligent. She wanted to learn more about Leon. She wanted to be more like Leon, which I thought was a really interesting touch as well. She's probably been shielded from this type of thing from when she was in the likes of the White House and around her father and being kept and protected for all of this time. But now she's starting to see the other side of things, the saving lives, the escorting people out of places. She likes it, it's cool. And she wants to learn from Leon and be a part of a team with Leon. She wants to go off the rails a bit and she enjoyed doing so. Wanted to feel like she was a part of something, a part of the escape and not just relying on Leon. She also wanted to do her part in things as well.
You know, I was thinking, we work well together, don't we?
I guess so.
Right? Maybe someday I'll become an agent like you. What do you think? We could protect the US from any and all threats.
Is that right? Well, either way, first we have to make it out of here.
You're no fun.
You did this.
Yeah, I did this. Can you stand?
The map?
Yeah, I found it. I think it says we can get out if we go this way. Hey, we're a team, right?
Keep this up, I'll be out of a job.
Mission accomplished, right?
Mission accomplished. When you're home safe.
Thank you for saving me.
Don't mention it.
You know, I could put in a word with my dad. Have you assigned to my detail, if you're interested.
You don't need me. You proved you could handle yourself. Even if you could use a lesson in knife safety. Come on. Let's go home.
In the end, she became a huge part of the reason for their escape, even saving Leon at one point. It was a really cool touch, and I liked the fact that actually we got to play as Ashley in some parts of it. We got to look at what she wanted to do, not just be this princess sat there and relying on Leon to save her. She wanted to be a part of it. And that's character development at its finest. I personally really like the characters, but if you had any other opinions down below, of course, make sure you do let me know. But what about the actual storyline? Well, It was absolutely ridiculous. The president's daddy's girl daughter being kidnapped in order to be used for this world domination crazy plan by some psychopath, potentially sending her back to the White House and infecting everyone around her and basically starting the end of the world. It's mental. To find her, the president enlists the ladies' man and ex-police officer Leon Kennedy to find her, and after his past with Umbrella in Raccoon City in Resident Evil 3, he was the perfect man for the job. Of course, with these types of games, we finally find Ashley. She tries to kill us, runs off. We try our best to get her out of there, even if we do lose her about 10 times throughout the story. To me, it's a typical early 2000s storyline, and a lot of the time, the constant finding Ashley, moving forward, losing her, rinse and repeat for 8 hours, could get really boring and repetitive. But no, not this time. And let me explain why. Games do this to prolong the story, right? Some do it better than others, but a good example of a bad game that does this is the Callisto Protocol. Every 5 minutes, you have some form of setback in that game, and it becomes predictable and monotonous. I climb over a ledge. Oh wow, it collapses, and now I'm set back another 20 minutes to an hour trying to get back to where I just was. But when stuff like this starts to happen consistently, you know exactly why it's happening, because the story isn't long enough to give you that full 10-hour experience, so the developers have to add bits into the story to make it last longer, and to make it feel like you're not being scammed out of $60-70 and you're having a full 10-11 hours experience. These setbacks do nothing for you other than, as I said, making your game worth the money and increase the gameplay length. Resident Evil does this, but every time it gives you a reason or actual context throughout as to why it's happening. And the characters that are around you all have their own motivations to want to capture Ashley, to bring her back to Sadler, and it makes sense. Throughout the story, there is a greater plan, the greater good. Sadler wants to take over the world, use the creatures in this amber to basically control the world with his singular mind, and do that for everyone on the planet. To do this and to spread it, he's targeted the president's daughter first. Sadler enlists a series of people like Ramon at the start, like Krauser to help him, brainwashing him and ensuring that they all have the same goal as Sadler. They then have the goal to make sure that Ashley goes through this ritual, is a part of them, can be controlled by Sadler when she's returned to the White House, and then takes over and kills different people or infects them or whatever. As ridiculous and as over top it was, at times it was entertaining, and that's what you want of a video game. It was funny, it was serious at times I was scared. The monster underground with no eyes that could just hear you, oh my god, I was screaming at this point. Could we just like take a minute just to like, I don't know. What the fucking hell is that? Leon is a proper ladies' man that was charming Ashley without him even trying, and Ashley was absolutely loving it. For me, it was a funny game, it was a great story, and it was entertaining for the entire 8 hours that I was playing through it. Mate, this guy's relentless. He doesn't even have to put it on. He doesn't even have to try.
Catch their attention. Let's keep moving.
What a guy. He's just destroyed and killed an unbeatable monster. And he's still trying to charm Ashley when he's finished. This guy, man. What a guy. So, what is the final verdict here? From a gameplay perspective, I would give it a solid 9 out of 10. I've got barely any complaints, to be honest, about the game. I did find that on professional difficulty that things can just be really frustrating at times when it came to fighting multiple enemies and big crowds of enemies. And rather than being able to fend against yourself, if you've got nothing, you've got no choice but to just run. Maybe that's just a me problem, but a 9 out of 10 isn't something to joke about. This is just one of those things that I found, and it was quite frustrating, especially in the different scenarios that you find yourself at the start of the game in the village when you're trying to outrun enemies and trying to kill them, and it's just kind of a running simulator for 10 minutes until the cutscene happens, and it's a bit of a nightmare. And the story, well, yeah, 9 out of 10 again. The story for me was fun, it was funny, entertaining, likable characters, and overall, I really enjoyed it. The plot itself was interesting, it was good, and it was a typical early 2000s storyline. The only one or two things that I didn't like was when Ashley just dipped, like it didn't really make sense, and it was clear that it was to give you an extra 2 hours of gameplay, that was all. Wait! Why would she run away? Why would she run away? We're trying to save her. Shit. Oh no, she's not run away. For me, overall though, it was a solid and well-deserved 9 out of 10 game. Absolutely fantastic job from Capcom for remaking this, and I thoroughly enjoyed my first experience on Resident Evil 4. Look, did Dead Space do it better? I would probably say they did do it better. Dead Space did something that I think is extremely unique to them. And the game that we got out of Resident Evil 4, and from the comments that I've read from loads of people, it seems to be the perfect rendition of the original and just improved upon in loads of different areas. So I'm extremely happy with what I've played, and I think you guys will be chuffed with it as well. But let me know your thoughts and opinions down below, everyone. That's going to do it for today's video. But I hope you have enjoyed. If you got this far into the video, comment down below, Leon, the ladies man. Why not? Hey, leave a like if you did enjoy, everyone. Subscribe if you guys are brand new. But I have plenty more content coming. April is a packed month towards the end for content. We have the Horizon Forbidden West DLC, Dead Island 2, and also the new Jedi game coming out as well. So yeah, stick around for that. We'll have plenty more content coming in the month. Loads of throwback games coming as well that we're going to do. I'm going to try and get done Gears of War, Bioshock, the Jedi Survivor, and also we're going to be doing Horizon Forbidden West recaps on the stories and stuff like that. So it should be a fun month. But as I mentioned, have a great rest of your day, everyone. We'll see you all next time.